Build habits that actually stick. The Absolute Ascension app. Link in comments.
If you're fine with waking up every morning and having just enough to go on vacation and come back and you work again, that's good for you. And a lot of you in this room will leave this conference and you will go bust your ass. And you'll be motivated as hell because you heard somebody speak and the fire is built up. But guess what happens 4 months from now? There's a trend in every single job. They have a conference, they're kicking ass, and then it's like, oh, I don't have any more motivation. Man, I was killing it last 4 months. What the happened? But then the real you came out. The real you might be unmotivated, might have no determination, no passion, no drive. But like I said, because on those dark days, you still have to find more.
And you become that version of yourself you've always wanted to become. So if you're wondering why it's so hard to win, if you're wondering why you have such a problem with it, it's not the circumstances, it's not where you came from, it's not how you were born or what color you are or this or that or the other, or somebody else had it easier. It's none of those things. It's that you can't identify that you are taking direction from a literal loser that has been implanted in you from all the other losers that you've been surrounded by your entire life. And your job is to kill that version of yourself so that only the strong one exists.
The more you're able to let go, the quicker you are going to approach along this way. Why? Because the more things, the more weight you are letting go, the more light you become, the more open you become, the more new things are automatically starting to fill all the gaps that now you have made space for. But if you are starting into the next year, into your next period, would you keep on having the same things over and over again that are already inside of you since the last 20 years? Nothing too much new gonna come.
What are you filling your life with, and why were you meant to be here? And I think coming up with the answer to those questions will give you a purpose and a drive that motivation and locking in and forcing yourself and all of these other things would just fade away if you found your purpose, because it would give you endless motivation because you're like, yes, this is who I am, this is what I was meant to do. I feel like that's what's missing from a lot of people's lives in terms of motivation, is that the purpose behind what they're doing isn't coming from their soul, it's coming from their ego, or it's coming from society. It's coming from something outside of themselves. And it's kind of like that saying where no one can love you but yourself. Your life has to come from inside of yourself and your own soul, and if it comes from anywhere else, it's not you.
You're only one yes away from a different life. So don't let one no stop you from following your dreams. Don't let one closed door convince you there are no others. Don't let one opinion outweigh your inner knowing. Don't let one rejection rewrite your self-belief. Your story isn't over. It's just the beginning.
Listen respectfully, don't start supporting me after you see I made it work. Don't wait until the views go up, the business takes off, or the doors start opening to act like you've been in my corner the whole time. Because that's easy. Everybody wants to be connected to success once it's visible. But the people that I never forget are the ones who believed in me when there was nothing to prove. The ones who supported the vision before there were results. They didn't need evidence because they saw the work, the consistency, and the determination. So don't be offended if I start moving differently now, because you had the opportunity to believe in me when I was building, but you chose to watch instead. And that's totally fine. But just understand, there's a difference between someone who supported the process and someone who only showed up for the outcome. Because real support doesn't wait for proof.
I just want to remind you, because I've spent a lot of time in my life sitting around wanting things to change and not being able to make them change, and not thinking I could. And I wish somebody had told me that earlier sometimes. that in order for something to change, there needs to be change.
Close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're in a room full of strangers and you're asked to describe yourself in just 5 words. What words come to mind? Now think about this. Do any of these words make someone stop, look at you, and think, wow, I'd like to be like that? Do those words inspire admiration, curiosity, or even respect? Or are they just words? Words that might sound cool for a moment, but don't carry any real weight. Here's the harsh reality. If those words don't inspire others or even yourself, then what's their purpose? Are they moving you forward? Or are they just anchors keeping you stuck in the same place day after day, year after year? But I want you to ask yourself a bigger question. Are these words reflective of who you really want to be? Do they embody the qualities, achievements, and values you aspire to? The good news is that you don't have to stay stuck. You can choose to redefine yourself, to pick words that inspire action and reflect the person you want to become. It won't be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. The second step is realizing that you can change your narrative at any moment. Maybe right now, your 5 words don't reflect who you want to be. That's okay. The beauty of life is that you're not stuck. You can start today. Here's an exercise to help you. Write down 5 words that describe you right now. Be brutally honest. Are there words like procrastinator, gamer, or average? If so, that's fine, but now it's time to replace them with something better. Next, choose 5 new words. Words that reflect the person you want to become. Maybe it's athlete, creator, or leader. These words should challenge you. They should push you to grow. And here's the secret. You don't have to be perfect to use these words. You just have to take the first step. If you want to be an athlete, start running. If you want to be a leader, start taking a responsibility in your community. If you want to be a creator, start creating. The third step is surrounding yourself with the right people. The people in your life have a massive impact on your identity. If you spend all your time with people who settle for mediocrity, you'll start settling too. But if you surround yourself with people who push themselves, who take risks, and who aim for greatness, you'll naturally start doing the same. Finally, understand that this process is ongoing. Redefining yourself isn't something you do once and forget about. It's a lifelong journey. There will be setbacks. There will be moments where you slip into old habits. But what matters is that you keep moving forward. The words you choose to define yourself aren't just words. They're a reflection of your values, your priorities, and your potential. So choose wisely. Now that we've explored the importance of redefining yourself, let's get practical. Here are 5 actionable steps to help you transform your identity and your life. 1. Take an honest inventory. Start by writing down the 5 words you currently use to describe yourself. Be as honest and specific as possible. For example, instead of just saying unmotivated, you might write always postponing gym sessions. This step is about identifying where you are right now. Next, ask yourself, are these words reflective of who you want to be? If the answer is no, then you have the power to change them. 2. Choose 5 new words. Now it's time to pick 5 new words that represent the person you want to become. These words should inspire you and push you to grow. Write these words down and keep them somewhere visible. Every time you look at them, they should remind you of the path you're on. 3. Align your actions with your words. Words are powerful, but they mean nothing without action. If you want to call yourself an athlete, you need to start training. If you want to be a writer, you need to write every single day. Your actions should bring your words to life. Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to change everything overnight. Focus on one action at a time and build momentum from there. 4. Find role models and mentors. The fastest way to level up your life is by learning from people who are already where you want to be. Find role models who embody the traits you admire. Study their habits, their mindset, and their journey. Better yet, seek out mentors who can guide you. These are people who can hold you accountable and help you navigate the challenges ahead. 5. Track your progress. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, consistent process. Reflect on your actions every week. Are they aligned with your new words? Are you moving closer to the person you want to become? If you find yourself slipping, don't beat yourself up. Use it as an opportunity to learn and refocus. Your life is a reflection of the words you choose. If those words don't inspire you, challenge you, or push you to grow, then what are they doing for you? You don't have to do this alone. This channel is here to guide you every step of the way. Leave a comment with your 5 new words, and let's hold each other accountable. Together we can transform not just our words, but our lives. So take action today. Choose words that inspire and show the world what you're truly capable of.
If you are someone who's ambitious, and this is me just talking specifically to you, you have to get used to being alone. I'm saying this because I used to think that there was something wrong with me, when in reality, I just didn't understand what the nature of being exceptional meant. To be exceptional means that you are the exception, means that you are not normal. And so it's normal for normal people to find you abnormal if you do things that are not normal. I had plenty of friends who were like, I want to be an NFL player, I want to be a really rich tech entrepreneur, I want to be a touring musician, right? And they had these goals, but I'm like, dude, I see you just playing Fortnite 4 hours a day and you practice guitar once a week. Like, do you really want that? Or do you just like saying it because it makes you feel good? Realizing that I thought most people actually made no sense. They say they had these goals, but they took no action. And they called me work obsessed. They would tell me I should take time off, and they're like, hey, you're not as cool anymore. You're not hanging out with the boys. Like, why aren't you participating in the fantasy league? Why aren't you watching football on Sunday with us? But the thing is that like, I needed that Sunday because I had to prep workout, I had to run billing, and I looked at that football game and I was like, 1 year from today, will I remember this football game? Or will I remember the fact that I'm not where I said I wanted to be?
Do you really have to become old and full of regret to learn the lessons of someone old and regretful? Absolutely not. We are all spoiled by the abundance of information and advice from those that have been around much longer than us, but almost nobody decides to listen. The information is free. My eyes are open and my ears listen, and it works. It is so crazy to see the downfalls of generations past, to then watch your own generation ignorantly follow suit. Please, do not follow suit.
The harsh reality is, and it's not even a harsh reality, it's actually extremely exciting. This path, this journey, adventure to success, it's long. It's long, and you will go through different stages, and you will be forced to be put in uncomfortable situations. But you will learn along the way and grow with each phase that you enter. Right now, you're at like a middle stage. Like I said, this is where a lot of people get stuck, because this is the stage of really figuring out who you are and why you do what you do. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience, and you have to ask yourself a lot of questions and dedicate time to yourself. You need to embrace the isolation that comes with this. Isolate yourself. Really, this is such a pure, special moment in your life Embrace that. Really just, this is how it needs to be.
Believe in yourself, and don't rely on anybody to believe in you. Don't rely on anybody to push you or make you better. Believe in yourself and only yourself, and live your life with character, honor, and discipline. And if you live that way, I guarantee you, your goals and dreams will get accomplished. I define success by you continuously fighting, by always showing up every single day, by whatever's in front of you, and putting one step in front of the other, regardless what the outcome may be. You just continue to fight every and any obstacle in front of you. That is my definition of success.
You have to remember that your anxiety is not being caused by external things. Your frustrations are not being caused by external things. No one is responsible for your emotions but yourself. I know that's easy to say. It's very hard to put in practice. I struggle with it all the time. But that's the idea. Mark Spinoza says, I escaped my anxiety today. He says, no, I discarded it because it was within me. He is the cause of his own anxiety. He is what brings that to external events, not the other way around. We have to remember that always. No one can make you upset. No one can make you mad. No one can make you sad. No one can make you feel inferior, as Eleanor Roosevelt says, without your consent. We are complicit in those emotions. We choose to have them. External things are not responsible for them.
Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, just start. Stop questioning if you're ready and trust that you'll figure it out as you go. The perfect moment doesn't exist. The conditions will never feel ideal, and the timing will never feel right. But action creates clarity. Every small step forward moves you closer to the life that you've been imagining. Stop holding back for a version of yourself that doesn't even exist yet. You're ready now, so take the leap.
Everything will work out. I know everything will work out because I tell myself that every single day. And guess what? It works out every single time. And it doesn't always work out in the way I expected, but it works out. And that's just kind of the mindset I've adopted, is that everything's going to work out. And I know it's going to work out because I'm putting myself first. I know it's going to work out because I'm really trying my best. And that's all you could really do, is try your best. But if you try your best, you're gonna have the best shot at succeeding.
When the Buddha was asked, what is the biggest mistake that humans make? The Buddha replied, the biggest mistake that humans make is to think they have time. I will get more money, but I will not get any more time. And I don't know how much time I have, and I'm not gonna allow you to waste it. Time is a currency. Don't waste it. Find your purpose. And this will keep, and take care of yourself.
Your life doesn't have to look like someone else's. You might not get married by 30. You might not have your dream job by 35. You might not have a family by 40. But that doesn't mean you won't have an incredible life. Don't let timelines and deadlines stop you from experiencing your life.
There comes a point in everyone's life when you're faced with a choice. Do you move forward or do you turn back? It's that gut-wrenching, soul-testing moment where everything seems to be against you, where every ounce of logic whispers, give up, it's not worth it. But let me tell you something. This moment isn't just a roadblock. It's the turning point of your story. The moment that will define your life isn't when everything is going smoothly. It's when everything seems impossible, yet you find the strength to keep going. Think about the greats. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah Winfrey was fired and told she wasn't fit for television. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter manuscript was rejected by 12 publishers. Each of these individuals had a turn-back moment, and they could have said, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not good enough. But they didn't. Here's a question for you. What if your success, your breakthrough, is waiting on the other side of just one more step? What if, by giving up now, you're sealing your fate? Because here's the truth. When you give up, the guarantee is that it will never happen. The only way the possibility remains is if you keep going. So, what is a turn-back moment? It's that place where the pain, the obstacles, and the doubt all converge, daring you to quit. It's that critical moment when everything feels heavier than it ever has before. Picture this. You're climbing a steep mountain. You've been hiking for hours and your legs feel like they're on fire. The summit is still out of sight, and a little voice in your head whispers, "Turn back, it's too far, it's too hard." You're not sure how much farther you can go, but here's the catch. You're closer to the top than you think. One of the most remarkable examples of a turn-back moment is Thomas Edison. After thousands of failed experiments trying to invent the light bulb, someone asked him, "Why, don't you quit? You failed over and over again." Edison replied, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison could have turned back, but he didn't. And because he kept going, he didn't just succeed, he changed the world. Your turn-back moment may not feel as grand, but it's just as critical. It's that job interview where you're on the verge of giving up hope. It's that business idea that hasn't taken off yet. It's the fitness goal that seems impossible. These moments may be different, but the principle is the same. On the other side of that moment is your breakthrough, but only if you refuse to quit. Quitting feels like relief. It feels like an escape from the pressure, the judgment, and the fear of failure. But here's the cold, hard truth. Quitting comes with its own guarantee. It guarantees that whatever you were fighting for will never happen. Think about that for a moment. Quitting isn't just walking away from your dream. It's locking the door behind you and throwing away the key. It's saying, "I'm not willing to see this through." That's the tragedy of quitting. It's often the point where you're closest to success. Here's a story for you. There was a man who mined for gold during the California gold rush. For years, he dug tirelessly, finding nothing. Finally, he gave up and sold his equipment to another prospector. That prospector took over, dug in the exact same spot, and struck gold just 3 feet below where the first man had stopped. 3 feet. That's how close many people are when they quit. They're 3 feet from gold, and yet they turn back, convinced it's impossible. But here's the good news. As long as you keep going, the possibility remains. That's what makes perseverance so powerful. It doesn't guarantee success, but it keeps the door open. It keeps the dream alive. So why must you keep going? Because the alternative, living a life of regret, is far worse. Perseverance isn't just about hard work. It's about belief. It's about believing that your efforts, no matter how small or slow, are building towards something greater. The next time you're tempted to give up, remember this. Progress isn't always visible. Just because you can't see the results yet doesn't mean they're not happening. Seeds grow underground long before they break through the soil. Here's a strategy. When doubt creeps in, focus on just one more step, not the entire journey, just the next step. Write one more page, make one more call, take one more shot. It's those small, consistent actions that separate the successful from the quitters. When you feel like quitting, ask yourself, who will I become if I keep going? What kind of person do I want to be? Because success isn't just about achieving your goal. It's about becoming the person who refuses to give up, no matter what. Let's bring this home. Your turn-back moment is coming, if it hasn't already. And when it does, you'll be faced with the same choice as everyone else. Move forward or give up. If you give up, the guarantee is that it will never happen. But if you keep going, even when it feels impossible, you keep the door open. You keep the dream alive. This is your moment. Don't waste it. Don't let fear win. Don't let doubt decide your future. The pain of pushing forward is temporary, but the regret of quitting, that lasts forever. So what's it going to be? Will you turn back, or will you take one more step? If this message resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your story in the comments. Let us know, what's your turn back moment, and how are you choosing to move forward? Because remember, the only way to fail is to quit, and the only way to succeed is to keep going.
What changes your life is not learning more. What changes your life is making decisions and using your personal power and taking action. That's what the definition of power is. Look it up in the dictionary. Power, the ability to act.
Achieving a goal for the sake of vainglory and sheer accomplishment will bring satisfaction, but that satisfaction will prove to be short-lived. Achieving goals that have deep meaning to us will bring us far more happiness. When we set goals that have meaning outside of our own selfish ends, we discover it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have no courage. I have no self-esteem. I have no nothing. Nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there. Tell myself I'm strong. I have courage. I'm smart. And all these are lies. You continuously push that starting point backwards. So that starting point is the truth. The no fucking bullshit truth that only you can tell yourself. So it's the starting point. The truth's the starting point.
The road to someday leads to a town of nowhere. It's a place you don't want to end up in. So you got to get yourself to take action. How do you do that? You decide. Make a decision right now you're not willing to settle for anything less than you can be. That you're not willing to live the way you're living right now, no matter how good it may seem, that you're going to push yourself to the next level. Demanding more from yourself than anybody else could possibly expect is true power. And all it takes is deciding. Remember, the word decision in its original Latin root means to cut off from. When you decide, you cut off from any other possibility.
People getting ready to go to jobs that they don't like. Jobs that are making them sick. You see, when you're not pursuing your goal, you are literally committing spiritual suicide. When you have some goal out here that you're stretching for and reaching for that takes you out of your comfort zone, you'll find out some talents and abilities you have that you didn't know you had. So if you want to make this your decade, you've got to decide to be bold. So you got to be bold in life. Most people go through life trying to creep. No, no, no. Trying to be casual about it. No, no, no. You go through life being casual, you'll end up a casualty. You got to be bold in life. You've got to take life on.
The biggest trap that keeps people from taking action is their fear. Their fear of failure, their fear of success, their fear of rejection, their fear of pain, their fear of the unknown. The only way to deal with fear is face it. Look it eye to eye and take action in spite of it.
If you want something bad enough, you can't let anybody tell you you can't do something. I'll repeat that. If you want something bad enough, you can't let anybody tell you you can't do something, not even yourself.
You need to work on yourself. If you just try to be pampered, and if you're trying to be soft, and if you're trying to be the victim of those, you're not gonna go anywhere. We need to get stronger. We need to get tougher. We need to not be afraid of failure. We gotta go into the work. We got to face adversity. Adversity breeds character. There's strength. We have to be willing to go through hardship, through suffering, through pain, through crying periods, all of that stuff. Don't shy away from any of that because it just makes you stronger.
There will be days when you give every ounce of yourself, every ounce of your soul, blood, sweat, and tears, early mornings and late nights, and not see any result from all of your hard work. And the most difficult part of all of that is knowing you have to show up the next day and do it all over again. And you may not see the result immediately. It may not come next week. But believing that eventually the result will come is what makes a champion.
There's gonna be days where you don't feel like showing up. There's gonna be days where you're paralyzed by self-doubt, and days where the distance between where you are and where you wanna be is overwhelming. I'm here to tell you that the only way to keep inching forward when those days happen is to be committed to the process. Because the ones who stay consistent, whether they feel like it or not, are the ones who see the results, not the ones who have conditional commitments on their goals. Keep going.
I think when you feel stuck or dissatisfied in your life, it's a signal. And it's not a signal that your life is broken. It's a signal that one of your most basic needs are not being met. Your need for exploration. And your soul needs exploration and growth. And the only way you'll get it is by forcing yourself to be uncomfortable.
Why is life so hard? Life is never easy. If it's easy, it would be boring. Life should be hard. Embrace the hardness of life, because through those hardships, you're learning, you're molding, and you're becoming a person. So, life should be hard. When you accept that life should be hard, then nothing is hard. Everything is easy, because everything is a lesson that you can learn something from. Every day is a new day to learn something new. So what are you going to learn today?
Sometimes growing and breaking feel the same. I think that sometimes growing and breaking are the same thing. And here's something to keep in mind. In this uncomfortable season of growth, you are not the one that's breaking. What's breaking is everything that isn't you. And sometimes that hurts.
Sometimes you have to go through that adversity and that challenge and that setback to activate the passion and the drive. You know, sometimes it takes the sting of defeat. Sometimes it takes the sting of heartbreak to activate something within you that was needed for you to start moving in the direction that you're meant to move, to get to where you need to be.
The right path is often going to be the hard one. It's going to be the one that requires you to believe in something with no guarantees. The one that asks you to let go of all control and walk forward in blind faith. But you know you're not walking blindly, because you can see it. You can feel that there's no other choice but this. Everything you've been through has prepared you for this moment. Lean into it. Trust it. You're ready.
You know, you have a decision to make. Am I going to stay right here? Am I going to live my life and be happy? Which, by the way, if that's what you want, there's no judgment. But what I'm saying to you is if you're that ambitious now and you don't keep moving, you're going to feel bad about staying in the same spot. So it's important that we set bigger goals and that we continue to progress through life, because we have to have a purpose, we have to have a drive, and the reality is our pursuit of a bigger goal produces a lot of good for people outside of ourselves. So what gifts are you suppressing by staying in that place and being content where you are? How many lives changed? How many new ideas? How much good is now being capped in your jar because you've decided to stay right where you are? That's something to think about.
Now stay after it. If you're maybe feeling down or you're not feeling as motivated, that's where your discipline has to really kick in, because the motivation's not always there. The discipline, that's what's got to be your backbone for progress. Even if you don't want to do it, or you're not feeling motivated to do it, the discipline will keep you, on that steady upward slope.
Each and every day, I'm trying to be the best I can be in that day. I'm trying to maximize that day, just that day. And I think if we all can shift into focusing on the small, integral steps that go into the big changes, that's when we'll see the most growth and the most evolution in our lives.
There are 4 things you need to know before you go out into the world. You remember these things and you'll be the best person you can be.
First, look at this pencil. We know that in order for it to become a useful pencil, that from time to time, again and again, it's going to have to go through a resharpening. Well, if this pencil could feel, we could imagine how painful that would be. But that's what it takes for it to be a useful pencil. Life is much the same. Painful experiences and challenges come to us all. But it is through these opportunities that we build character and we grow. Second is to keep in mind that we'll be able to correct many of the mistakes you make along the way, just like this eraser. So if we learn from our mistakes, they're not mistakes. They're lessons we can use to do better the next time around.
When was the last time you wrote out your dreams? Walt Disney, Hayao Miyazaki, Leonardo da Vinci, with just a paper and a pen, they mapped out worlds and stories that changed the way we see reality. They built their dreams into existence way before anyone believed it was ever possible. In an era of endless notifications and constant comparison, it's so easy to feel lost and aimless. But the simple act of documenting your dreams can change everything. What if you could map out the ideal version of your story? Publishing a novel, running a marathon, starting a clothing line, creating a short film, whatever your dream is, every idea, every sketch, every note is one step closer towards building a world that's authentically yours.
Imagine the specific moment where you can claim victory. Imagine the moment that you actually achieve that goal that you've been dreaming about for so long, procrastinating on for so long. You've been kicking the can down the road saying, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, I'm gonna do it Monday, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Imagine the day that you actually achieve it. You can cross the box off. This wasn't just some pipe dream. You made it happen. The thing that everybody told you couldn't do, the thing you got laughed at for in the beginning, you actually did it. The fact is, you're never gonna have that moment unless you take the first step. You're never going to have that moment if you keep procrastinating. As sweet as that moment is, the fact is you are never going to taste it if you never take action.
You don't have self-awareness. You can't possibly change yourself. Everybody wants to think they can change themselves. That's why self-help books sell so well. A lot of that, I believe, is nonsense, a lot of what's written, because it's not realistic. You're not seeing who people really are. You're not digging underneath and getting at what really motivates human behavior. So I wanted a very realistic, brutal look at the human animal. It's not all negative. We have some positive traits. But once you realize, oh, I am capable of feeling envy. Oh, I am irrational at times. Oh, I have a dark side. With that awareness, you can actually finally start to change yourself.
If you go visit the darkness that you've been running from, you'll have the opportunity to leave a better person. You'll have a better understanding of yourself. You'll have a better understanding of your purpose. But if you don't take that trip and the darkness comes visit you, it's a guest that will never leave.
You're not worried about what other people think about you. You're worried what you think about you. The craving we have for acceptance is not from someone else, but rather from ourselves. If who you are for yourself is founded in self-acceptance and love, then it's not that you don't care what other people think, it just doesn't faze you anymore.
Every place where you are used, so to speak, you leave your mark. You're writing your own story. Think of stumbling blocks as stepping stones and never stop writing. And fourth, always remember, the most important part of you is what's inside.
People who do not have the courage to do what you're doing will resent you for doing it.
You show them mirrors that they don't want to look at. When you take big risks and then the reward comes, they don't want that to happen because then it makes them feel like they're less. If you want a new life, get ready to watch your old one shatter. And it has to in a lot of ways because who you used to be is not who you are anymore. And that's a growth thing and that's a good thing. But I think a lot of people who are afraid of growth in a way, whether they want to talk about it or not, resent the people that aren't.
Because people don't want to face themselves. You can only reach the level at which you're willing to face yourself. People don't want to face themselves. They don't want to face the pain. They don't want to sit in it. They don't want to process it. And so it makes it really hard watching other people do those things. Watching other people that are brave enough to go, you know what? I may not believe in myself right now, but I am going to do this anyway because I know somewhere at the end of this, I will get where I'm going.
Find your outlet and become obsessed with it. Chase challenges that push you to your limits, and let the discomfort reveal your true strength. Make yourself want to quit, and then push through anyway. Get started. Be relentless. No excuses. No limits. Just results. Now get after it.
Life gets easier when you realize that there is no such thing as a wrong decision. Decisions are simply pivots. Each one you make will take you down a new road that will likely be both magic and miserable, beautiful and ugly. Because life is a polarity. Easy doesn't exist without hard. Good doesn't exist without bad. So relax, there is no right answer. Trust that whatever decision you make can always be followed up by another decision.
Can you be weak and strong at the same time? Yes, but I say be strong. Train your physical strength and exercise your mental strength by doing the right things, the hard things. The things you know you're supposed to do. Do them. And be as strong as you can, mentally, physically, and emotionally, for yourself, for your team, for your family. Hold the line and be strong.
Before we know it, we become something that we're not. And so many people in this world, they're living a life that's not theirs. And what I mean by that is that they're living a life that someone else gave them. They're living a life that pain gave them. They're living a life that depression gave them. They're living a life that a failed dream gave them. And they end up becoming that. That is not your identity, people. You got to get back to the core of your being. You got to get back to yourself. But when you decide what's most important to you, your brain goes after it. If you don't know exactly what you want, or you let yourself get beyond that to something general, you're not going to achieve it. Clarity is power. The more clear you are about exactly what it is you want, the more your brain knows how to get there.
Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down and not going the way you want it to. How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one that's to come?
The quality of self-discipline is the quality that will make you a big success. It's the ability to force yourself to do what you know you should do. And here is the wonderful discovery. This persistence is self-discipline in action. Every time you persist, you build your self-discipline. Every time you practice self-discipline, you build your ability to persist. And the two of them are tied into your self-esteem. So the more you persist, the more you like yourself. And the more you like yourself, the more discipline you have. And the more discipline you have in practice, the more you like yourself. As a result, the more you persist. And eventually you get under an upward spiral where you become absolutely unstoppable. You reach the point where you know you can achieve the goal and nothing in the world can stop you. And every step that you take forward makes you stronger and stronger and stronger until finally people say, I know one thing about him, I know one thing about her. You cannot stop him or her. Once they decided they want something, they will not stop until they get it. And when you develop that quality, there will be nothing that is impossible to you.
Go do something that's hard. Go try and accomplish something that's hard. You may win, you may lose, you may succeed, you may fail. I'll tell you what, you'll be better. If you avoid those things that are hard, if you don't accept that challenge, if you don't step up and step into that cold water, I can tell you this is not a good move. Just get up. Move towards that challenge, whatever that challenge is. And you may be successful, and you may not be successful, but you will be better.
You have to discipline yourself. Go do something. Do the best thing that you can think of. Put the best plan you have into practice. It's not going to be perfect, and it will change along the way. But it will change partly because you become disciplined pursuing the path. And as you become disciplined, you become wiser. And as you become wiser, you become able to formulate better and better plans.
Sometimes you just need to admit to yourself that you have no idea who you are or what you're doing. Everything is changing all the time. It's normal to have weeks where you feel lost, months where you don't recognize yourself, and years that leave you with more questions than answers. Don't see it as a step backwards. Humble yourself, because that's life's way of redirecting you. letting you know that you have the chance to find yourself again. Seize the opportunity.
All of us, nobody's perfect. We failed too many times. We have so many uncertainty in our life that we have to be capable when we are down to stand up. It's part of the journey, it's part of the process, it's part of our education. In my case, I learn the most when I'm down. And it's good that these certain moments happen, because when you are in the top of the wave, you don't see under what's going on. It's good to have problems. It's the only way that you can improve.
How do you overcome the fear of failure when trying something new? By far the easiest thing I've found to deal with this is to think of every single thing in life as an experiment. It's just an experiment, so everything in life is an experiment. And therefore failure isn't really failure. Failure is just another data point.
Don't let complaining conquer your life. See if you can't drive it into a small corner. That's the season of summer. Nourish your values like a mother and fight your enemies like a father. Even if you have to fight the enemies that are within yourself. Make this note. Don't become a victim of yourself. It's possible to become a victim of tragedy. It's possible to become a victim of gossip. It's possible to become a victim of the things that happen out there, but here's the most important thing. Don't become a victim of yourself. Forget the thief in the alley that's after your purse. What about the thief in your mind that's after your problem?
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, you don't really love it, you're gonna give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere, when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit, because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. So you gotta love it, you gotta have passion.
You have to become the kind of person that can push through the hard times. Most people can't do that.
No matter how long it takes, keep going. No matter how much it hurts, keep going. So you was placed on this earth for a reason. You weren't meant to be average, you were meant to excel. You gotta understand that this grind is meant to make you who you're supposed to be, a dog. A little grind ain't never hurt nobody. Stop being soft, let's embrace it.
Most people cannot push through the challenging, the draining, the frustrating times that make everybody else quit. So you have to build yourself into someone who has the discipline, the fortitude, the grit, the perseverance to push through the hard times, to become someone who is literally incapable of quitting.
You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, why are you only giving 50%? What's wrong with you? You need to put yourself on punishment. You need to tell you no more TV, no more snacks, no more desserts, no, we working out now. No more alcohol, not right now. No, I can't handle it right now. You need to tell you that you owe you something.
I don't look at failure as failure. I look at failure as your first, second, third, fourth, fifth attempt. I look at them as attempts. Because when you're trying to do something that's bigger than you, whatever you are, you didn't fail, mother. That was your first attempt. We give so much power to words. I don't. I take the power right away. I didn't feel.
People will tell you things based on their experience, but they don't know anything because everything is subjective. They don't know who you are or what you've been through. They tell you they tried for their dreams, but it didn't work out, so they gave up. And they discourage you to chase yours. But you need to do that for yourself, because nobody knows what will happen. And even if it doesn't work out, there's still something to be learned in the process. Stay true to yourself and do your thing.
in that you are not the person that created you, not the person that created the bad programming that you were forced to learn to operate with, but you are the person that has complete control to reprogram it and start version 1 of you right now. You are now the platform, and you are going to be able to continuously upgrade yourself, guide your evolution in a harmonious and peaceful way where you will continuously now achieve your goals, reach your milestones, become the person that you always dreamed you could be. And at the end of it, you've now developed the skill to continuously get better and better at operating you, the machine, till the day that you die.
How can you beat someone who cannot fucking quit? How can you beat someone who every time they go through a hard time, they get better and they get stronger instead of getting weaker and getting demoralized? How can you beat someone who looks back on all the tests that they've had and said, yeah, that wasn't shit, dude, okay? As opposed to the person who's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And then in 2 months, another thing happens. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. It's gonna be the person who has a stoic mentality, who looks at it and says this, okay, all right, we'll get through it. And then the next thing happens. Well, won't do that again, but we'll get through it.
You can't buy what you're looking for. Nobody can give you what you're looking for. What you're looking for is on the other side of thousands of days of unrecognized work that feel like they won't pay off, but eventually do in the biggest way. The confidence you need to carry out the life you want is an earned characteristic, and that is why it's so valuable. Discipline exists only as a result of doing the things that most people are not willing to do. So recognize that what you're searching for is a tall mountain to climb, but there's no sense in letting that scare you. Just start taking the steps.
When our brain starts to go through suffering, when our brain starts to go through pain, or starts to go through insecurities, when we start to feel uncomfortable with ourselves, our brain gives us a way out. And that way out is usually quitting or taking the easier route. If we're able to look at ourselves and face whatever we're running from, we can do a lot more than we think. You feel pain, you feel suffering, you feel discomfort, you stop right there. Everybody has a wall in their mind. It's a wall, and it stops us from going further. Most walls have a door or a window. You have to find that. You have to have the courage to find that. And once you open that door or that window, you'll realize how much further you can go.
Affiliate with. If I'm going to become the average of the people I hang out with, then I want to make sure I'm leveling up in who I'm hanging out with. It's when I get complacent and I decide to coast, that's when I roll backwards. So I want to keep driving. I want to keep driving to the next level. I want to find out what motivates me and I want to go after it. I have to define that. I have to figure out what it is that motivates me, but then I can go after it. And I can find the people that have done it. I can find the people that have blazed that trail. And I can follow them. I can follow them to a certain point. But just like if I'm walking through snow and I follow the person in front of me and I walk in their tracks, eventually I have to go make my own tracks. But by following through those tracks, I've realized I understand how to walk through that snow even better. So when I venture off on my own, yeah, it'll be slow at first, but I'll know what I'm doing because I've seen it done. I'm gonna learn from others. I'm gonna do what they did to get to where they are, and then I'm gonna grow and do it even better. I'm gonna level up by finding people who've been there before.
You're not failing because of the circumstance or situation. You're failing because mentally you let the circumstance and situation make you stop laying bricks. And you're not successful because you keep laying bricks, not laying bricks, laying bricks, but laying bricks. If you would just lay bricks regardless. What are you doing? Yes, you. What are you doing? You stop hoping. You stop dreaming. You stop setting your expectations high. What are you doing? That's not the you that's always been you. What are you doing? You've let them get in your mind. You've let them lower your expectations. You let trials, tribulations, no's after no's bog you down. What are you doing?
No one will believe in you until you believe in you, and then the more you believe in you, the more the world will start believing in you. Another way to shape it is every visionary was initially ridiculed before they were revered. So I want you to think about that. Believe in your vision, your mighty possibility. Go out there and do the work required to make your vision real. And if you do it, step by step, day by day, eventually the world will say, wow, you're a genius.
Challenging times blow. I mean, when I think about periods in my life that were just an absolute struggle, financially, emotionally, in relationships, it's horrible. And here's what I would always tell myself. This challenge is molding and shaping and strengthening me in ways that I didn't know that I needed. Because the thing about strength in life and character and resilience is those things, like steel, they're forged in the fire of your life. And so you create that when things are hard. And so just keep waking up and doing the best that you can, and know that one of these days you're gonna wake up, you're gonna get through it. You're gonna see a stronger, braver, and more resilient you staring back at you.
Everything in your life right now, everything you have, everything you do not have right now, are all results of your past actions. And that's hard to accept for a lot of us. But until you accept that, you will not be able to move forward. And when you do accept that, you take ownership and control over your life.
So I have a dream. Okay, fantastic. I have one question. What skills does your dream require you to obtain? I always tell people, stop rehearsing the failure and stop rehearsing it under the guise of I just want to be ready. I want to have a backup plan. Well, the problem is what you're going through over and over and over is how things are going to go wrong. It is far better for you to put your energy into how to make sure that they go right. Then you're rehearsing over and over and over. You don't just think about the 1,000 ways that a building could fall. You think about structural integrity. You think about how do you build that in? Where do the posts have to be? That's the thing that you rewire over and over.
So get to the spot where your mind is saying stop. Wherever that is, you gotta get there first. You gotta control yourself in that moment.
This is my dream, and not be ashamed by it, because whatever your dream is, like, that's your dream. Don't let somebody else take that away from you.
You tend to think that what you want, you just march right towards it. But if in sports you march right towards the goal, what happens? The defenders come in. And what the defenders are is it's your brain saying, ain't gonna happen. So the second you start moving toward that thing you want, be ready. You're gonna tell yourself you don't feel like it. You're gonna have to force yourself. It's happening. There's no way to get around it. And I wanna remind you about something. Unlike a sports field where there's an in and out of bounds, the great thing about life is there actually aren't any. And it's usually in those moments where you feel like you can't do it, that you're closer than ever to having everything that you wanted. And I wanted to show you this so that you keep it in mind, because I think a lot of times when you look back, it's the darkest moments where you realize, holy cow, that's what projected me forward.
But what makes mastery is execution on the ideas, not the ideas. And so no idea works unless you're willing to roll up your sleeves, do the practice, invest the time, put in the effort, do the work.
Typically on the other side of your greatest fear, of your greatest insecurity, is your greatest blessing. Everyone goes, well, get out of your comfort zone, you'll find it. No. What you're afraid of and what you're insecure about, on the other side of that is typically one of the great gifts or blessings in your life. You don't even know the magnitude of what it's costing you to give into your fears and insecurities. And by the way, insecurities and fears are different things. They're both really insidious, detrimental things that people struggle with. And so on the other side of your fear, that's one thing, and on the other side of your greatest insecurity are blessing, and you have no idea the immeasurable waves that you're missing in your life because you are giving into them and cowering to them.
There's people around you, whether they're in your life or now social media, you know, people are always going to tell you no, and people are always going to like roll your eyes when you tell them your dream or your goal. And I think that those dreams and those goals are within reach, and they're, you know, just at the tip of our fingertips.
What you're after is the emotion. And so what I want people to get is the emotion they want now, and all it is a new habit. It's learning to discipline this mind, right? By realizing the mind thoughts are out there and letting them float by and constantly coming back to what can I love about this? What can I appreciate? It's like, if you can learn to love or at least appreciate, start to enjoy the things that you used to get upset about, how much freedom would you have?
And there's just a part of you, I think, in anything you're doing when you're struggling, is this really for me? Is this my destiny? Should I be doing this? And we misread failure from some sign, you know, is this a sign I shouldn't be doing it? You know, is this a sign I am, you know, not cut out for this? Instead of looking for signs that you can win.
And make a decision now that says, I'm gonna live in a beautiful state and I'm gonna find beauty in whatever life brings me. Because life is too short not to.
Play the long game. Aim for legendary. Don't just say, I want to be world-class in my dominant pursuit for a little window of time. Say, I want to have the guts and the grit and the acumen and the mindset and the capability and the commitment to create enduring success. And that's why I say nothing fails like success.
And it's that executing against dreams that will change your life. It is not the dream itself. And that is my mission in life, to get people to understand. One, it's not enough to dream. And two, you can learn those skills. And once you have those skills, you can create. Once you can create, you can shape your life. And that's what it's about. People slide into depression because they don't think they can create the life they want. They feel that they're beholden to someone else, that there's some invisible game being played that they don't understand, that they're at the mercy of rules to which they're not privy to.
The world has to hear your voice. That when it's looked back on 20 years from now, and you were here, there's an opportunity to say, what did we do? Where did we go? How did I show up? How did I share? How did I show out? How did I do it?
A resilient person is capable of standing up to things in the face of fear and moving forward voluntarily, convinced of their own competence and ability to prevail. We don't even want to be protected from those difficulties, because a major part of life and its meaning is the challenge that comes with confronting difficulties.
We're all going to have these days where it just feels like it's too hard, we don't want to do it anymore, and you want to quit. And that's okay, but you can't quit or give up on those days.
You are where you are because of the choices you've made and the skill set you've built. Period. End of story. Now, why is that the best news ever? Because it means you're in control. You steered yourself to exactly this point. Now, you may not have been paying attention. You may not have had the clarity that you now know that you need if you want to end up in the exact place that you want to end up. But now that you take that control back and you recognize that you can go anywhere you want, become anyone you want to become, but you're going to have to put in the work. Now you can decide whether you want to put in that work or not. And if you don't, that's fair enough. Because the real punchline of all of this, by the way to win this game called life is not money. It is quite simply, what do you think about yourself when you're by yourself?
What if
body's broken, mind's broken, spirit's broken. I start to say, what if I can pull this off? It's the what if I can pull off a miracle. What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be?
Everyone knows that you wake up at 3 in the morning when you let your life go off the rails.
The decisions you make right now is up to you. You crying about something that happened to you when you was a kid. You ain't even no kid no more.
The hard thing is taking the first step. Everything else is just persistence.
So what I want you to understand about the breakthrough is that 90% is work. But the last 10%, that's fight.
You commit to do this for the long term. Whether it's hard or easy doesn't matter. You're doing this.
I tell you to set goals beyond your lifetime. I tell you to set goals as soon as humanly possible. You will never exceed your highest expectation. You will never exceed your highest, craziest thoughts. That's a guarantee. And so then why to set low goals?
Every tool you have, and most people will not use every single tool they have because they're afraid. They don't know how to control it. They don't want to acknowledge it. They're afraid of being judged. They want to stand out. They want to be different. They want women to acknowledge them. But they have so much doubt of what greatness and the unforgiving race actually requires to win over and over again. We all have fear. We all have fear, but these individuals have so much doubt. Think about the times where everything was going wrong. Nothing was going right. What kept you going? What kept you going? You were in that place. What kept you going? That was your dark energy. When does a new day start? At midnight. If a new day starts in the dark, why are you afraid to use your dark side for your new beginnings?
We tell ourselves the story, we play the only part we've ever known, and then that part becomes our own and we don't know how to separate it. So we understand praise manipulates. We'll accept your own praise. Your mind says if you say it, it must be true, which is why self-criticism goes in and does so much damage, and self-praise goes in and does so much repairing, because the most important words you'll ever hear are the words you say to yourself.
You have too many individuals out there that are not writing their own story. They're letting other people write those stories for them.
So the first thing is, that's the first big problem right there. First big problem is that you have put a lot of people above you, put no one above you, no one.
And how many times have we given up on a dream because we were mocked by the people around you? And all I'm suggesting to you is when you get laughed at, ridiculed, and when people don't understand your next level of world class, that just means you've got a great dream, and that just means you're on the path of growth.
But momentum requires you always do the next thing to keep the momentum going. And the reason you get yourself in a passionate place is so that you change your life, and the only thing that changes your life is making a decision.
And nothing will happen in this world. Everything will happen wonderfully well, even if you're not there. Every human being should be aware of this every moment of his life. It does not matter what the whole world says about it. It does not matter how significant a work you're doing. you must understand that tomorrow morning the world will go on fine without you, whoever you may be. If you constantly remind yourself of this, you'll have no reason to be serious.
Everything I didn't want to do is what got me to where I'm at today. Every single thing. So where we find comfort, that's where I started getting scared. When I started saying, oh, it's raining, I'm not going out there. No, you cannot say that. You cannot do that. You have got to do this.
So while you're in this passionate state, that's where you make decisions. If you make a decision in a state without momentum, if you make a decision from a place where there's no passion, you are not going to get momentum. It'll kill momentum. It's decide, commit, and resolve.
Truly, that you make things happen so that the person you are starting tomorrow is more of who you know you truly are.
Most individuals, your mind will make a decision. Say, we're going to do this. Your feelings always make suggestions. When you fail, your feelings give you excuses. Your mind makes you more resilient.
There are things that you know that you must focus on, but it scares you. I want you to look at where in your life that story is robbing you of your dreams and where it is giving you an excuse to avoid the things that you know you need to do.
People will point out your weaknesses, but there's a big difference between your weaknesses and your flaws. Your flaws are your gifts, and people are so busy trying to deal with their flaws and change their flaws when their flaws are actually allows them to stay in that race.
Everyone's good at something. You know, you're not meant to be good at everything. It's no good being a jack of all trades and a master of none. So be really good at what you're good at and don't worry about what you're not good at, because we're not all supposed to be good at the same thing. Find your talent, you know. Find out what you love to do. What you're meant to do lies directly behind and is absolutely linked to what you love to do.
If you want revenge for the bad things that have happened in your life, start with the version of you that hasn't lived up to your potential.
You have no fucking idea how great you really are.
Because maybe I'm not good enough.
Your story may not have such a happy beginning.
It's not okay for you to be a weak loser.
But that doesn't make you who you are.
And the reason it's not okay is because you could be way more than that.
This life is not here to make you suffer.
Because you are using such minimal of what you have.
This life is here to make you understand what is your potential.
They say the true hell is when the person that you are meets the person you could have been.
It is the rest of your story, who you choose to be.
My philosophy is, why be normal when you can be the best?
And I learned the greatest gift of all. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
Play full f***ing out.
If you're going to try, go all the way.
You're not as far away from these dreams as you think you are.
Is that so many people die with untapped potential because they think that someone else is fucking better than them.
All life forms strive to the max of its potential except human beings.
If you only do what you can do, you will never be more than you are now.
You got the makings of greatness in you, but you gotta take the helm and chart your own course.
We can beat anyone. We can do anything. It's only a matter of going.
Never forget one time I was running by a graveyard. And I ran by a graveyard and I looked out there and I have all these epiphanies, man. I have all these moments of like, it's crazy, man, of just thought. 'Cause I'm always by myself. I'm always deep in thought about how to be better. I look out there, I'm like, man, I wonder how many of you motherfuckers in there and just are so upset with how you lived your life. Regret how you lived it. And I'm running a 300-pound man thinking, man, don't fucking die like this, bro.
You know, there's one place that all the people with the greatest potential are gathered. One place. And that's the graveyard.
Everyone has the possibility to unlock something very, very special about him or herself. And it's up to your actions. Ultimately, it's you yourself who also is able to unlock it.
If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind. Go all the way.
Most of us don't use the stuff that we have brought into the universe. And we want to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to start living life with a sense of urgency and using what we've got. Using ourselves up. Sharing what we brought into the universe to share. Because if we don't, nobody else will. Stop wasting valuable time. Knowing that if we begin to live our lives as if each day were our last, our lives will take on a whole new meaning. They take on a whole new expression.
Like, I'm 54 years old right now. Like that. I mean, it just flew by. You think when you're young that you have all this time. You have no time.
And the other thing that's so interesting about being alive is that you're all in. No matter what you do, you're all in. This is going to kill you. So I think you might as well play the most magnificent game you can while you're waiting. Because do you have anything better to do? Really? Why not pick the best thing possible that you could do?
You know, I don't have it, I can't do it. Our natural tendency is to sell ourselves short. Our natural tendency is to think of the reasons why we can't before we think of the reasons why we can. So the key to breaking ourselves out of the comfort zone and breaking ourselves loose of the shackle of helplessness is courage and confidence. We neutralize the antidote to fear and ignorance is desire and knowledge. And the more we learn about what we want to do and be and have, the more we believe that we can do it. The more we believe that we can do it, the more willing we are to try. And the more willing we are to try, the more likely it is we will succeed. What is the first part of triumph? The first part of triumph is to try.
It'll take time. It'll be a process. And sometimes you will have to convince yourself, right, that it's possible. And if you don't know how to change the way that you think, begin to digest new information and find those people that empower you. Find those people, elevate your spirit and your soul, and understand that your potential, my friend, is limitless. You, my friend, are limitless, but you must believe. And if you can believe, all things are possible.
That the reason that you are doing this alone is because you are on the path to greatness. You are on the path to achieving and obtaining everything that you've ever desired. It's going to feel so good at the end.
Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, or how much you really want to do it. And you'll do it, despite rejection and the worst odds, and it will be better than anything you can imagine. If you're going to try, go all the way. There's no other feeling like that. You'll be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. Do it. Do it. All the way. All the way. You will ride life straight to perfect laughter. It's the only good fight there is.
A lot of people are afraid to even try hard because then if you try hard and you fail, you feel like a failure. The aspect of being a failure doesn't come from the success in the end, it comes from if you really quit on yourself. Or if you don't put in the effort you know you can put in, kind of holding back on your true potential.
The unfulfilled potential is the story of most people's lives.
If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, and if they can't stop you, then you become something else entirely.
Legend, historien.
Far too many people abandon their path. And it's because they forget their why they chose this journey in the first place. Please don't let that be you.
Give a man a purpose and the ability to achieve it, and he will crawl over broken glass with a smile.
If you're cool with that, man, if you're cool with walking in the shadows of yourself, and the only person you got is the man right there in the shadow, man. How you doing? Pretty good. How you doing? All right, man. Cool. If you're cool with that kind of walk of life, I'm gonna tell you, man, the world is your playground.
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. Right? You always want to outwork your potential. As hard as you believe you can work harder than that.
You have so much potential. You have a gift. And the purpose that you were put here to fulfill, people out there, real people, are depending on. You will share many great memories. You will be confident and proud of the person that you've become. That's what this is for. That's what's on the line here. And that's what's waiting for you on the other side, my friend.
As you go through the challenges of life, and you look at it and embrace whatever comes to you, don't run from it. Step toward it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. See, most people want it easy. See, easy come, easy what? Easy go.
So that if there is no value proposition at hand, then you have no meaning to justify the difficult conditions of your life. And that's brutally difficult for people.
Turning a want into a crushing need is one of the most useful processes that you can master.
Defeat and failure is the greatest thing that could ever happen. Because when you're successful, you tend to not learn anything. Failure teaches you your limits and makes you realize what you did wrong. It shows you what you could do differently.
Our life right now is the sum total of all the decisions we've made up to this point. If you forgot half of what you know, half of your expertise, half of the conversations you've had, half of the people you know, half of the words you know, how effective would you be? You wouldn't be. But what if you could retain twice as much, maybe in a fraction of the time? How much more effective would you be?
Don't worry about whether this is hard or it's taking a very long time. Just invest in yourself every day, unabashedly, going after it.
See, most people engage in low-life living, low-risk living. This God said, if you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you can't be happy.
Understand, pain is a very powerful motivating factor. So understand that life is very difficult and that you're down a path towards something really, really bad unless you get your act together and try that first thing. Take that first step. Do whatever it is that you thought you couldn't do, and don't be afraid of it, because that is the most important moment in your life.
If you constantly remind yourself, after every defeat, after every setback, every time you get knocked out, you will feel your way to success.
And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you?
You have a viewpoint, a perspective. It's like the lens on a camera. And it's through that lens that you view the world and you view people and you view events. And so your attitude, how you look at the world, will determine what you get in life.
The big thing, and this is why I always tell people, there need to be two things true about the goals that you're trying to accomplish. One, they need to be honorable, and two, they need to be exciting. I legitimately am excited about the thing that I'm trying to build. And because I value myself for the sincere pursuit of this thing that is both exciting to me and honorable, and that it's, going to lift people up if I actually accomplish it, and I'm holding myself accountable to actual results, but the game of trying to turn my potential into usable skills that can do something tangible in the world to make that goal that's exciting and honorable come true, because all of that game is predicated on making sure that I love the time in the field, that I'm leaving everything out on the field, and I value myself for that. I don't value myself for accomplishing it, but I value myself for actually trying to pursue it.
If you're focusing on this person to give you that thing, my parents didn't give me that thing, that's you creating your attitude. You're building it. It's like a crystallization process. This crystal starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger as each new crystal is added. And you crystallize this negative, defensive attitude towards life, and that's what you're gonna get.
You will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you. But after you go through it, you get back and you look at it and you say, oh, now I understand why I needed that lesson.
You can take these tentative steps on your pathway to destiny, and you can assume that you're going to do it badly. And that's really useful because you don't have to beat yourself up. It's pretty easy to do it badly. But the thing is, it's way better to do it badly than not to do it at all.
And I'm saying to you, whatever you gotta do it, because if you don't, life is gonna whoop you until you surrender.
The only thing that I think people should fear is standing still. So I've often said that running 1,000 miles an hour in the wrong direction is better than standing still.
The obstacle is the way. If you have that attitude where obstacles are actually the path forward, nothing's gonna stop you.
For now, what you want to focus on is you're hopelessly average. Amazing. And now it's about recognizing that the average human being is designed to learn and grow and to get better. And so now it's a question of how do we put enough time and energy into something to actually get better at that thing?
About 2 years ago, we were having a conversation, and he said, you teach the secret to life is peak state versus lousy state, or being energy rich versus energy poor, that a relationship, you can love somebody, but if the energy's low, like our job, the energy's high. Well, what if you swap those words and you swap peak state for beautiful state? I said, that works. A high energy state is a beautiful state. Any state where your high energy would be like love or joy or gratitude or drive or courage or faith or playfulness or fun, any of those things are beautiful states. So he goes, yeah, I agree. And I said, and then suffering states would be low energy states. So that would be frustration, sadness, anger, resentment, loneliness, boredom, whatever. He goes, yeah, that's exactly right. So I can swap those. He goes, if you swap them, there's something cool that you might see or do. I said, what's that, Bishop? And he said, well, I've made a decision that I'm gonna live my life where I'm gonna live in a beautiful state every day, no matter what, even if it rains on my parade, even if people do things that are unjust. He said, the reason is because in a beautiful state, just like you teach peak state, everything flows. And I said, well, that's pretty much what I've been teaching. He goes, yes, but if you think of the lousy states as suffering states, he said, then you can end suffering just by ending the state. But I realized I didn't relate to suffering. Like if you had told me 2 years ago, Tony, do you suffer? I said, are you kidding me? I got the greatest life. I have the most incredible wife and 4 kids, and I got 31 companies, and I'm financially free, and I have a mission I love, and I'm in good health. And that would all be honest. I wouldn't have been dishonest about it. But what really helped me out of that conversation, I left there and I went, well, where do I suffer? And I realized frustration is suffering. I get frustrated, I get concerned, I get pissed off, I get, worried sometimes. I get these feelings. And so what I decided to do was, just really create a 90-second rule for myself where I would end suffering as it arises. Because everybody tells you you're gonna end suffering is full of crap. The reason is your brain is a 2-million-year-old brain. It's not designed to make you happy, it's designed to make you survive. But there's no saber-toothed tiger for you to react to anymore. So now we worry about what are people thinking of us? Do I have enough money? Over the last 2 years, what I've done is play this little 90-second rule. And if I feel tension in me, I go, okay, that's suffering. Where's it coming from? What am I stressed about? What am I concerned about? And what I immediately do is I realize the stressful thoughts. Since I've seen Christian G, I kind of traded one thing. What I really do now is I dig in and I notice that the only time you have stress or suffer is when you believe a stressful thought. Because what are the chances of everybody doing exactly what you think they should do the right way every day? 0. What are the chances of people you love doing what you want them to do the way you want to do them every day? 0. What are the chances of you doing the right thing every day, even if you're talented and disciplined? 0. So your happiness will never last as long as it's got expectation behind it. What I did was I began to realize I made the decision, it's the most important decision I believe of your life, that I'm not going to suffer anymore. Life's too short to suffer, and I'm going to live in a beautiful state every day. And the way I do it is I catch myself when I start to get that sense of stress, I let it go, and I see the idea go by. So your thoughts about this person messing up your business or not following through. If I was in a room with 10,000 people, I guarantee you 60, 70% of the business owners have the same thoughts at times, right? I ask people all the time, tell me your most stressful thought. Oh, I'm worried about my children, this may happen. How many of you have had that thought? Everybody. I might not make it financially, blah, blah, blah. How many have had that? Everybody. My point is, it's not your thought. It's the mind, not your mind. When you think it's your mind, you identify with it, and you can't separate from yourself. But when you realize, these thoughts have been around for millions of years, and I'm just thinking the same thought that so many people thought before. Like, how many people have ever thought, I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch? Now, you didn't do it, because you didn't believe you're really gonna kill them, but you felt it, you said it, you were there, right? So we all have thoughts. It's only the stressful thoughts we believe that mess us up. So what I try to show people is, if you can start to realize these thoughts have been around for millions of years. If I told you a million years, 1,000, 100 years ago that we're gonna go to the moon and back, you called me a lunatic or crazy. If I said 100 years ago, you're gonna have a little box like this, it'll fit in your pocket, and you can click on it and you can see what the weather is any place. You can click on it and see a live person on the other side of the earth and talk to them by looking in this box. And the way it works is invisible waves are traveling around the earth, and it pulls invisible waves in the box. You go like, read between the lines. There's no way, you dumb idiot, it's never gonna happen. So what I want you to realize is thoughts are invisible waves. When you turn on TV, it takes invisible waves, and depending on the channel, you're gonna see a love story, or an adventure, or a drama, or a comedy, or a horror. The way you use your body determines which of those thought waves come through you. One moment you're pissed off, the next moment somebody makes you laugh, you change your body, you change the channel, you change what comes through you. So what I've tried to do in this very beautiful state is simple. First, identify where you're suffering. What's your favorite flavor? Are you a worrier? Are you a pissed off person?
Stressed, angry.
What is it you do? Second of all, decide you're gonna kill that monster while it's little. You're not gonna wait till it's Godzilla taking the city. You're gonna break the pattern. You start to feel the stress, you see it as thoughts going by, and then you focus on something to appreciate, enjoy, or love. Appreciation, love, and joy destroy suffering. You can't be grateful and angry simultaneously. It's possible. You can't be worried and fearful and grateful simultaneously. So I tell people gratitude is one of the emotions to cultivate that'll destroy the suffering.
The question is not, are you worthy to reach your goals? The question is, are your goals worthy enough of you?
Why do we do things against our better judgment? This is an age-old question. When we know what to do, why don't we just do it? And particularly in today's age where we have the world's information at our fingertips, we don't have the excuse of not knowing what to do anymore. Who doesn't know basically how to lose weight? Okay, maybe the specifics, but we basically know that chocolate cake is not as healthy as a healthy salad. Who doesn't know that? Who doesn't know that if you want to have better relationships with people, you have to be fully present with them? Who doesn't know that if you want to do better at your job, you have to do the work, especially the hard stuff that other people don't want to do? We know these things. So there's no excuse anymore to say, well, I just didn't know how. Google is right there for anyone to use. What we're lacking is the ability to follow through. We're lacking the ability to avoid distraction. Getting ahead in life is not just about doing the right things. It's about avoiding not doing the wrong things. And that's what becoming indistractable is all about. It's about whatever it is that you say is important to you in your life, how do you make sure you do those things?
Well, if somebody says something out loud, it's 10 times more powerful than if they think it. That negativity is a multiple of 4 to 7 times more powerful than positivity. So think about that. If I say something out loud, it's 10x. If it's negative, it's 4 to 7 times more powerful. So when I say negative things out loud, it's 40 to 70 times more likely that that will happen or cause a result that won't be good for me than if I just didn't say anything.
Been in a moment of failure, it's because I was sort of really scared of what people would think. I was living in some other guideline, some other path that somebody told me, like, oh, you have to go to college and then start a business and be successful. And once you're successful, you're smart, and no one should ever know that you're stupid. So I was afraid to let people know that I didn't go on this straight path. So that's the ordinary world. And then, in the arc of the hero, you go from the ordinary world to the extraordinary. The extraordinary is when I admit failure, and now I have to go on this very unusual path to find my way back. And that's going from the ordinary world to the extraordinary. And then along the way, you have bigger and bigger problems, and you meet your new friends and people who will help you until finally you have the greatest crisis of all, and you bring it back to tell the story. Like, you bring it back and you have a podcast, or you write an article or whatever, and that's the full arc of the hero.
For me, fear, the things I'm scared of, I'm like, come on. It's calling me. It says, hey, come play over here. It's an indicator. It's a good indicator, not a bad indicator. Lean into it. Come play with me, okay? So I either have fear because it's really dangerous. Yeah, look, I'm gonna get to the edge of this thing. I'm gonna get on the other side of that thing. I'm probably gonna be scared because I don't know what it feels like to fall, this many floors and hit. Maybe there's no big deal about it. Maybe dying's not even a big deal, but I don't have I don't consciously have so, I used to be like, I can't buy a $78,000 house. I was terrified the first house I bought. I don't know what I'm doing. This is the problem, and you're not gonna have the experience if you don't move through the fear. And a lot of people do it once and then they don't do it again. You got it's not going away. It's just you're gonna get used to the ski boots. The first time you put them on, man, they're freaking banging your shins. Like, I can't, man. But you just wear into them.
So interest, curiosity is that open quality that we've been talking about that's really about being curious about the journey. Like, oh, look at this grain of wood. Isn't that, and not just isn't that interesting intellectually, but just really letting our senses rip and just letting that feeling of curiosity come pouring out.
Think about where you could be in 10 years. You don't have to know how to get there. Elon Musk hasn't solved all the problems to get to Mars. But when he talks about why he's here, when he talks about that vision, he's talking 10 years ahead. Because it explains how many of these big minds are literally applying envisioning to build their businesses. And that the envisioning concept is more important than talent or venture capital or ideas or execution. It starts with envisioning. Everything else flows from there. Realism is nothing more than a socially acceptable form of pessimism. The people with the most consistent track records of success don't think in terms of what is, they think in terms of what could be.
Of when they get to work, they say they're gonna do something, they say they're going to work on that big project, they're gonna stop procrastinating and do that thing that they've been planning to do, right after they check email, right after they scroll that Slack channel, right after they do that quick thing that they have to talk with a colleague real quick. And so 30, 45 minutes later, they still haven't started to do the thing they plan to do. I call it pseudo work. I kind of need to check email, right? I kind of need to do that stuff. But if I plan to do something else at that time, it is just as much of a distraction. So anything can become a distraction as well. And the reason this is so pernicious is that we are slaves now to the urgent at the sacrifice of the important when we do that. And today, in today's age where technology is so pervasive and so persuasive, I mean, it is designed to be persuasive, and we want it to be persuasive, we want products to be engaging, then it's easier than ever to get distracted.
And I think it's not so much to say, fit your life into an arc on purpose. You should just ask yourself, maybe, am I the hero of my journey? Like, what can I do today to have, even in a microscopic way, something that is a mini call from a mini ordinary to a mini extraordinary? I think it's an interesting challenge.
A, your language is powerful, but number two, your behavior is way ahead of your success. And so many people let their feelings dictate what they do as opposed to throw your behavior out there. Russell Wilson's 5'10". He shouldn't be playing pro football, but he behaves like the best quarterback in the country, and he's done that since before he was at that level, and then his feelings and emotions and his skill caught up to that behavior. What I do, not how I feel about my past, is going to determine who I am in the future. And that's what I think neutral thinking is. I think neutral thinking isn't just thinking, I think it's behavior, and I think it's language. And so your behavior is what's going to change you. But you also have to start by asking yourself, what do I want and why do I want it? Why don't I have it?
When you wake up, when you have this transformation, when you go from Elon Musk to Elon plus the wisdom of Ariana, in that metaphor, you start opening yourself up to so much more. Now, the first aspect of the dark side of vision is this imbalance, but I want to tell you about another aspect, and that second aspect is cultural programming. The visions that we are pursuing don't come from us. They come from outside us. I became an engineer not because I wanted to be an engineer, it's because I'm an Indian male, and if you're an Indian immigrant, you learn very early in your family that your parents value education, you're going to come back with A's, all A's, not 1B or 1C, and that there are only 4 options in your life. You become a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or a family embarrassment.
Why do we do anything? What's the nature of human motivation? And when you think about it, most people will tell you some version of carrots and sticks, that it's about the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. This is Freud's pleasure principle. Yeah. But neurologically speaking, that's not true. That in fact, we do not do things in the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. That neurologically speaking, we only do things for one reason, and that is to avoid discomfort. Physiologically, we know this is true. If you go outside and it's cold, that's not comfortable. What do? You put on a coat. And when you go back inside, now it's too hot, that's not comfortable, you take it off. If you're hungry, you feel hunger pangs, you eat. And when you're stuffed, oh, that doesn't feel good, you stop eating. So physiologically, we feel this all the time. This is called the homeostatic response. The same rules apply with psychological sensations, not just with physiological sensations. So when you're feeling lonely, check Facebook. When you're uncertain, you Google. When you're bored, check the news, check sports scores, check Reddit, Pinterest, whatever. All of these things cater to these uncomfortable sensations. So that means if all human behavior is spurred by a desire to escape discomfort, that means, as you said, time management is pain management.
Even if I'm going through a difficult challenge, even if I'm going through a reorg in a business, you know, if I still feel like, okay, this is not optimal, but there's something I can do, then I'm helpful to myself. And when I'm helpful, I'm hopeful. And when I'm helpless, I'm hopeless. We have to believe that we can influence our future. You know, we've got to believe, I believe that no matter what I'm facing, I can influence my future. That just because my first marriage didn't work, that doesn't mean my second marriage won't. But it's incumbent upon me to be better. What are you going to do to be different going forward? So many people think the self-help industry is about things you do. I think one of the things that makes athletes so incredible is what they're willing not to do, what they're willing not to say, what they're willing not to eat, what they're willing not to consume, what they're willing not to watch. What are 5 things you cannot do right now that will instantly make your life better?